Hello, hello, hello. Hello,
Fernando.
everyone.
There he is.
Hearing Craig's beautiful voice. Oh my goodness, so many beautiful voices.
Who just came on?
What is happening, everybody? This is incredible. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to this very magical Thursday. Took me a second to remember what day it was. Things are happening so beautifully, so fast.
Wow.
But I'm so grateful to have you all here. As we get close to 8:30, I just want to remind everyone to please mute themselves when we're not in communication. So as soon as Sean jumps in, he can go ahead and do his thing. But we're here. Things are roaring. Things are happening. Things are moving in the world of Unblinded in the Nerve Center. These conversations about you. Yesterday, we hit 100, which is what an incredible blessing. I personally, the team actually spoke to over 112 people yesterday. Personally, I spoke to over 25. And the magic of the excitement for mastery, what's happening, distinctions, more important than all of that, the wins that people are having are phenomenal. And nothing creates more galvanized energy. I don't want to say nothing, but a high creator of galvanized energy is sharing wins. And wins doesn't mean only like I got $1 million deal. Wins mean, this is a fact, I had a conversation with my baby niece, Bella, who's the love of my life. She's 12, over a book that I bought her that she was having some distortion on because the book is about confidence. And she thought that her uncle thought that she didn't have confidence. And it couldn't have been further from the truth. And through that conversation, we bonded, we connected, and I used the formula. Where have you been? Where are you now? Where are you going? And it was incredible because I had never actually, in truth, been in the formula with my niece. And at the end, there was clarity, there was love, there was gratitude. She gave me a hug and a kiss. And like getting kisses from the ones you love is probably one of the best feelings in the world. And she always kisses me right under my left eye. And it is like, there's nothing on the planet that's more special to my heart than those moments with her. So that is an example of a win, and that's real, and that's magic. So with that being said, I'm going to pause. It is 8:30. Sean, are you here with us? Okay, so let's go into a share, and then we'll ask for Sean, and then we'll go into some content. So who would like to share a win? And I would really like to hear from someone who's new, someone who's never spoken, someone who's been on the huddle for weeks and has never shared their voice. I would love if you can bless us with your presence and your magic and anything that's on your mind or a win. So who would like to share? Ready, go.
All right, if nobody's going, I'll go.
Go ahead, Jay.
Fernando, can you hear me? So just a real quick win, and then someone else can share. We have literally every morning since Monday gotten together, whether by phone or in person, mostly in person, and we have gone over with my team wins and distinctions. And I got to tell you, I have never been more motivated in my life, which is hard to say because I'm pretty pumped up all the time. But just seeing my team grow exponentially rather than linear is unbelievable. And it clicked yesterday. It really clicked yesterday. So, and that only clicked because I walked into my office and Emmanuel was sitting there. So big shout out to Emmanuel, big shout out to Hadaya, Karam, my wife, everybody on the team, and Renya, who's not on the team, but part of our ecosystem. Everybody who's joining the calls, Jamie, it's just awesome. So everybody that I've brought into this world has not only had breakthroughs, it's been like monumental breakthroughs. So thank you.
Thank you, Jay. And what I'm hearing is that your wife, Catherine, is once again holding it down. So shout out to Catherine in the house. And thank you for that share. It is magical, the power of being in the formula. You know, we used to say this early on, when you share the formula, you win. When you give the gift of the formula, you receive, you win, you get what you want because you're giving people what they want. And something that's being opened up and present for me from Jay's share is that as much as I love all of you coming here, listening, taking notes, being excited, it's replicating what's here. Like that is a more optimal outcome. Yes, do we want you to come here, get excited, get motivated? 100%. That's why we're here with all this energy every morning for you without question. What we really want is for you to apply the formula and create the magic that you want in your lives, get the finances that you want in your life, and have more time to enjoy the magic and the finances. So as you listen to stories and distinctions, don't listen to them and feel like you got your education for the day. Spend the day minimally applying the things that you hear on these huddles. So pause. Sean, are you here with us?
Not yet, Fernando.
Awesome. Thank you, Tiffany. So let's go into some content, some thoughts, and we'll let Sean jump right in as soon as he gets here, and then we'll kick it to Jared. It is, in the world of team building and process mastery, which are huddles, since that's the conversation that we're in, many important distinctions. Number one is the power of a consistent leader in creating any and all habits. When structures and dynamics are created, and I'm sorry, if there's someone in the back, there's a 4105. You think you're muted, brother, or lady. If you can please mute yourself, that would be super grateful. So in the world of creating rituals and habits, it is very important to have a leader, a designated person, whether it's you when you begin it, to constantly be driving the energy. It's the reasons why I start the call, Jared is at the end, Sean comes in. When you have a consistent cadence, and the word is cadence, when it happens at the same time, in the same place, at the same number, with the same syntax, the syntax being the flow of the conversation. So 2 words there, cadence is the time in which it repeats, and syntax is the flow of the conversation. So as everyone in our mastery program is going to be beginning their accountability structure, this accountability structure is actually what these huddles are at a very small amounts. So in the mastery program, we will have an accountability structure where it's only 3 or 4 people, in which you'll be doing what's on this huddle with structure, direction, and leadership. And the goal, yes, is to be held accountable, to have support, to have others to consistently answer your questions, and for you to replicate. If there's one thing I want you to take away, and then I'm going to pause, ask for some questions from what I'm saying now, is please learn, integrate, but none of that matters if you don't replicate. Learn, integrate, but none of that matters if you do not replicate it in your life, with your team, and with your family. So with that being said, pause. Would anyone like to share or ask any questions on what we just said? Jared, is there anything you'd like to share on that?
Yes, sir. So awesome. What I would like to share is actually you, Fernando, and on our Unblinded team call this morning, you were making like really valuable distinctions that landed extremely well for our Unblinded team. And I really believe this is an area, especially coming off the immersion, where people are so excited, so energetic, and it's so important that they leverage that energy with conversations. You made this comment, which was, when we're following up with people from the event, we should act like we were on an island for a week with no phone, no Wi-Fi, and we're calling our best friend for the first time, right? Can you recreate that and then help people see the importance of that when it comes to leveraging what just took place and having dialogue with people?
100%. And thank you, Jared, for opening up that access. Your leadership in the morning huddles is so present, and your ability to take out the best in people is outstanding. I see you do it from people that are high in mastery, people that are beginning their mastery. Your ability to pull, love, and make people feel appreciated and centered is outstanding. So let's jump in to what Jared just shared. When we say sharpening the language and sharpening the listening, listening is what people are saying. Language is what you're saying. Distinction within that is the language within your own mind, which at bottom line, and without getting too esoteric, is what self-mastery is. It is the mastery of the voice within yourself getting you to act. Why do I prime that way? It's because when you're leading, getting into a phone call, a conversation, getting home to your spouse, it's the conversations within your mind, your focus, that are going to eventually have your physiology be reacted, which ultimately ends up in your state, and that's how you show up with your spouse. Sometimes you love your spouse and you miss them. And when you're having a bad day and you're telling yourself, today sucked, today was a bad day, you're going to go up to your spouse and they're going to receive that energy, and they're not going to know it's not directed to them. So pause there. The distinction we had this morning is that after this weekend, people are so excited. They're winning, they're sharing, they want to help Unblinded, they want to bring this to their team, they want to talk about it with their kids, they want to do all these beautiful things, and they're excited to have someone else talk to them about what they learned this weekend. They want it, they're craving it. And I'm not putting words in your mind, but I'm very certain if any of us from Unblinded called you, you would be phenomenally excited to talk about what happened this weekend. And whether you're part of the core team of Unblinded or you're in the movement, it's all the same. If you call any person that was in the event this weekend, they're excited to talk to you. So the distinction we gave to the team is when calling this week to talk about feedback and their experience and the possibilities of really extending their mastery through our 6-month program, I told them, we have this belief that people are busy, people don't want to talk to us, people have other things to do, all of which might be true. The truth is, people want more money and less time with more magic. And we say this sentence not because it's like pretty and it like rolls off the tongue, it's because it's the truth. So when you're giving someone a phone call about this weekend or about the formula, this is a possible state, a very optimal one that we would suggest. Imagine that you just went on vacation for a week and you had no Wi-Fi and you couldn't communicate with anyone. You just got back. Your best friend knows you just got back and you're calling them for the first time after a week of this amazing experience. And all your best friend wants to do is talk to you. That is the energy that you are getting on the other side. When you call someone and you say, how was this weekend? How was your experience? It's like you're talking to your best friend after you had all this magic and you haven't spoken to them for a week. So with that, Jared, what are your thoughts, brother?
So my thoughts are this, like, how does this relate to each and every one of you? Well, this is an access point, because if people were not present at that experience that each of you were just present at, or let's say you weren't present there, but you're just as excited because you're on the morning huddle, what if that was the energy that you brought to every sales meeting today, every phone conversation today, every Facebook Live today? Because it's my hallucination that most people go through life and they just go through the motions. And what if you, with your energy and your certainty to serve, what if you were their pattern interrupt? What if that's where you were when you entered their state and helped shift their state? What if you focused on being the best moment of their day, the most memorable moment of their day? There's a quote, I'm sure all of you have heard it. I'm not going to say source because I can't remember exactly who it is, and I've seen many different sources. But the quote is this: people may forget what you say, but they'll never forget the way you made them feel. And by you showing up with that energy, remember, they may forget what you say, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. When you show up with that fun, and thank you. I think that was who it was. I was going to quote her, but I've seen other people, but thank you for that. I think that's who it is. If you show up with that fun spirit, that energy, that certainty to serve, that's a feeling. And when you can create feeling within a sales meeting, you become unforgettable. And whether they say yes today or yes tomorrow, if you can create a feeling of that connection, they will inevitably say yes. I have this great story of a sales process that I had on the Synduit side for 7 years, a 7-year sales cycle, literally. Like, I had every right and should have given up probably after like the first year, but I didn't. And every single time that I had the sales meeting with this big firm, we always left hugging. We always left excited about what would come. And they just secured a deal like 2 months ago. Agreement formation was formed. And I asked them, like, why did you continue to come back to me? And I was persistent as well. And they said, because the feeling of being around you was so exciting that we just wanted to find a way to have that feeling all of the time. You might be an introvert. You might be uncomfortable in that fun party energy, but be you within that fun party energy and allow people to have that feeling when they're around you. And the reason that we're harping on that right now is because whether you are at the immersion or you're just on this huddle, this is that daily dose of feeling that you can now transfer to others that don't have that feeling. And then you become extremely memorable in their lives. Fernando, how does that land for you, my friend?
Incredibly. And it is so true. And as a final access here, as we hit our 15-minute mark, to give you a tool, like what I call a pocket card, fun little story. When I first got into the world of conversations, communication, and sales, and I was insanely nervous because I was a short, shy, overweight kid, I would have a pocket card. And what a pocket card is that I would have intro and outro questions on an index card in my pocket. Not that I would look at it before I would talk to anyone, simply knowing that the card was there and that I took the time to write the questions would add to my ability to be in conversations with people. So having a pocket card is a tool, because we always want to give you something tactical. And another one, a simple, and I don't want to belittle this, but an opportunity for you to change your state is better off with me, worse off without me. It is like, think of it as like a mantra or something you can say in your mind before a phone call, before a meeting. Better off with me, worst off without me. And the truth is, I feel that way. There is nothing I'd rather talk about on the planet than mastery, because it's literally everything I've ever looked for in my entire life in 6 months. It blows my mind. So I genuinely, that every single person I have the opportunity to touch, interact with, share this with, is better off with me. And by me, I mean us, this movement, each other, Unblinded, and they're worse off without the movement. So whatever you're stepping into, whether it's a listing, a conversation, or asking someone on a date, better off with me, worse off without me. Jared?
So that is like the key takeaway from today, right? Like what Fernando just said. This is overcoming that fear of agreement formation, what was just said. Because I still know, and many of you had breakthroughs this weekend, but I still know step 4 is that scary step, because step 4 is the possibility of hearing no. Like step 4 is the possibility of rejection. Step 4 is the possibility that you go back to that story of I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough, I'm not smart enough. That's that possibility. But what allows you to overcome that possibility to create probability of outcome is that statement just now that Fernando said, better off with me than without me. And if you believe that with integrity, then you do whatever it takes to get to that yes. I think about this all the time. My stepfather, who many of you know because he was on stage, he's a chiropractor. How we talk about this. We talked about this for years. And I always say, I say, Chuck, Dr. Berg, I say, do you believe that when you're sitting down with a prospective patient, do you believe deeply in the core of your being and your essence, do you believe that that person is better off inside of your practice with you or on their own trying to figure it out? And his answer is always with conviction, without even having to take a breath and process. He always says, they're better off with me. So my response is, then do whatever it takes within integrity to get them to say yes. That is how you combat that limiting belief that shows up with agreement formation, because you know that you're in service of that person when you can help them see what they can't see right now, which is what you see for them. Better off with me than without me.
Yeah. And final, because I'm inspired, to share in the voice of Sean.
Fernando, you're making me sweat, bro. You're making me sweat over here. Get me fired up this morning.
I feel, it's funny you share that, because I'm like tapping my face with a paper towel as we speak.
Who's sweating? Who's sweating a little bit right now? Who's sweating a little bit right now for this?
I'm sweating. I'm with you guys.
I love it.
So to end in the words of Sean, this beautiful man who's created so much access for all of us. One thing that I love about Sean, and at first, here's the truth, vulnerability. I didn't believe him. When he said this, I was like, no way, no way. After a year and multiple data points, because, Jared will share, I'm an insanely deep thinker. I realize, and I listen to everything, whether I react or not. One of the things that Sean says, and not only says, he does, is that every single agreement formation that has ever made and will make is always best for the other person first. Now, if that's not integrity, I don't know what is an agreement formation. Any single agreement / promise that he makes is always, and this is a big word, always better for the other person first. If that's not a freedom to get a yes, if that's not freedom for agreement formation, if that doesn't give you that, like, butterflies in your stomach, like I'm feeling and sharing this because I think about these things, that is the beauty. Agreement formation is beautiful. Agreement formation is beautiful. Why? Because when agreement formation happens, magic begins. There's no magic until there's agreement. In the words of Adam Gugino, if there's no agreement, we're in disagreement. So when you have agreement, magic happens. And when you lead with integrity, integrity-based human influence. Every single agreement, promise, word, if you really want to get microscopic, word that you say is always in service of the person or ecosystem you're communicating to first. So with that, Jared, take it home, brother.
Fernando, excellent job as always, my friend. I just love hearing you. I love when you dig into your distinctions. I love when you get like lost in your heart and your head at the same time, because that's what happened just now.
You noticed that, yeah.
It's a combination of them both. You're like, where am I right now? Like, am I driving? Like, but really, I mean,
literally what happened.
Yeah. But
hey, Jared, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go for it. Is that Jay Levine? I can't see today. I'm driving.
This is Jay Levine. I apologize. Still have no voice. I still have no voice, so I apologize.
But it's still Jay Levine voice. I love it. Go for it, man.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a two-part for Fernando and for you, Jared. So I kind of had a little micro distinction here while you guys were talking, and I don't have my book because I'm driving. But one of the things that Sean said this week, last weekend, was that the no is not final because it's not over yet. I forget the exact thing that he said, but I think part of the fear of agreement formation is that once you get that no, it's over. But once you get that no, you just go back to the first step and ask a question, and then continue to dig and start all over again. So getting a no on your agreement formation attempt is really not a big deal. It doesn't mean you have to stop talking. You just go back to the first step.
So this is a huge distinction, right? So to me, no is actually, like, reframe this. I think somebody is not on mute. But reframe no as tell me more. Like, they just don't have enough information yet, right? So why would I follow up for 7 years? Like, and this is not an exaggeration, like 7 years of follow-up. I looked back when I got agreement information, and over 7 years, I had 14 meetings in 7 years, and I had 187 emails in 7 years. Okay.
Wow.
So, and like, I think it's clear, like, I have no issues with agreement information at all. So, like, why would I keep on going back? Because every time I heard no, because that was the outcome of each meeting, it was tell me more. Like, I don't have enough information to make a decision. So I never take no personally, because I just know that they need more information. And the other thing, and this is where mastery is going to be like, blow your mind, because like in month 6, when we start talking about integration, and in month 7, when we certify you,
that's my favorite.
what we're going to teach you is what I call fanatical follow-up. Fanatical follow-up. So maybe no is no for right now. That might be, like, that is a real thing. But I believe that one of the challenges that people face is that they think that that's their last chance. Like, if they don't get them to say yes right then and there, it's over, because there's no system. There's no system to follow up. So the reason why a big company after 7 years has said yes to moving forward and has signed and funded the deal is because I don't have fear in the agreement formation phase that if I hear no, that it's lost forever, because I know that I'm going to persevere until I get a yes, because of what Fernando said. They're better off with me than without me. So I'm willing to go on that ride with them. And to me, when you get to month 6 and then in month 7, we're going to teach you, because this is where I step into my flame, process mastery around follow-up. Because no might be no for right now. That might be real, but it doesn't mean no forever. But if you take it personally, you're never going to follow up again. Jay, how does that land for you, man?
That's perfect. And actually, just one more thing to add on to that. Yesterday, I had a sales meeting. It was a little unorthodox because it was in my business. Obviously, we mostly do our market analysis within someone's home because we have to see their home. But I had already seen this gentleman's home and built rapport with him at one point. So he actually asked if he could come into my office and see where we create our magic. And in having a conversation with him, he had his book out, he had all his paperwork, he had his notes, he had all the numbers, he talked to 20 other realtors, and I closed his book for him nicely. And I said, can we just talk first? And I don't even want to talk about real estate. Let's just, let's get to know each other, because this is not the way I do business. I do business, we become family, this is a partnership when we sell your house. It's not just me selling your house. This is for you. I said, we work off of, and I said the words to him. I said, we work with integrity-based human influence in all aspects of our life, including work, especially work. I said, so if I were to just go right into about your house, I said, what kind of integrity do I have? It's terrible. And he looked at me and he goes, can you please repeat that? And he wrote it down. Now, this was probably a 70-year-old man. He's a religious person, and he right now is building a home or an area with multiple homes for like 1,500 or over 2,000 families in need in his community. So he's selling his house up here so he can go down there. So if I started talking about the house, I would have never gotten that out of him. And that's his goal. Selling his house is secondary. Supporting those people in need is his primary. So if I'm helping him support his goal, it's not to just sell his house, but it's to get him to where he's got to be faster in less time with more money and more magic. And when I said those words to him, it resonated with him so much that he wrote them down. He's like, I want to follow up with this. I'm going to look this up. I said, well, you might not find it anywhere. I said, but if you want more information about it, I said, we'll get into that. So we again, and that's where I got this. I asked him for the agreement formation at one point because we were basically crying together, literally. You know, I saw a tear in his eye, and I certainly was choked up at that point because he let me go into my story. And then he didn't say yes to the agreement formation. He said, I got to talk to my wife. And I respect that. I understand that 100%. And it's a little bit of, you know, I was in the car business, and I got to talk to my wife, or I got to talk to my husband was always kind of a goof. And it was, you know, we said it was fake, but, you know, that wasn't a no. I 100% in my heart know that I'm getting this listing because there is not a single person, I'm not gonna say realtor, there's not a single person that he's talked to in the last month, 2 months, year, I'm confident, that spoke to him like I did. And I knew it because of the expression on his face. It was like drop the mic, and his jaw fell down when I started talking to him. And he says to me this, and it was the biggest compliment I've gotten in a long time from someone like that. And he said to me, he goes, Jay, if I was in a room with 100 people and you were talking, I would just ignore everybody else. and I got like the chills, and it meant a lot to me because that was one of those little marbles I flicked away this weekend. And obviously flicking it away was I was wearing it all week, and it showed. So that's a win.
So Jay, three things. So I want to honor you first. You are such an incredible student. And I really mean that, because you take things and immediately implement them, even if you don't feel ready yet. Like, that is so powerful. Okay. Like, you're okay, like being like 90% perfect and trying versus trying to find perfection and never trying. And I want to honor that. And for those of you out there who have not tried yet, because you're trying to like get perfect with hero identity and the steps and all these things, like, just look at what happened for Jay as an example for everybody. Jay, amazing. I want to make sure that lands. You're an incredible student. Incredible.
Thank you.
2, create some process mastery. I know from conversations, that's something that you're working towards, right? Create real organization and structure so that
100%.
that dialogue with him, because he might forget like the intricacies of what was said, but he'll never forget the way you made him feel. So when you do follow up, you can go right back to that access point, that feeling that you've created with him. You got a tear out of his eye. That's enormous, right? I always say like if you can build a bond, like not the crying is one thing, but like laughing, any emotion, and you go back to that access point. If they don't say yes on the spot, you then have that feeling with them again. You recreate that. So that's huge. This is why we're building a CRM. This is why Unblinded is going to release a CRM in 2020, because CRMs are very transactionally based. Like, they're not based on a formula like what all of you now have access to. So the CRM that we're building is going to leverage data that we collect, and it's also going to ingrain integrity-based human influence. So the CRM itself is going to tell you when to follow up and help you pick up where you left off with that type of connection that you made. It's really amazing what's going to be done. So that's going to help all of you with process mastery around follow-up. And then the third thing is, and I want to make sure everybody like hears this in Jay's voice, like this is level 5 listening. Jay is certain that that person is better with him than without him. He is certain of that. There's unwavering. And that's why you're going to give yourself the permission to follow up with him.
100%. 100%.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jared.
If I may, with the final 3 minutes, because Jay, Jared, this is probably one of my favorite huddles, because we're deep in things, and we're in the world of agreement formation, and we say these things, and I'm going to leave them high level. We'll discuss them in the future, definitely in mastery. One thing that Sean also says is lean into the objection, and like that was weird when I first heard it. And I want to give an example because Jay just created such beautiful access. When someone says, hey, I have to talk to my wife, acknowledge, like, yeah, that's incredible. So Jay, let's pretend your wife said yes. What would you say now?
So that is, Fernando, that is the exact thing I said to him. I said, listen, I respect that. I said, I have to talk to my wife before I make any financial decision. This is important. I said, I would love for you to talk to your wife, and I would love to talk to your wife. So I didn't, and I wanted to say, I went to say to him next was, if your wife was in agreement, are we going to get this deal? And he kind of pushed me off again. So I stopped. I made a great relationship with the guy. So I said, you know what? I know he already wants me to, he asked me to follow up today. So I didn't have to push. I went right into, no problem, let's follow up. But I stepped right into that objection. Believe me, I said, that is fantastic. I said, that shows how much integrity you have, because I would have to check with my wife too. If I made this decision without her, I would look like a real jerk. I said, so I'm with you on that. I said, can I meet her? And he said, well, of course, I want you to meet her, my son, my uncle, so I have to meet the whole family first, which is great, because he told me in order to make this happen, he wants us to feel like family. And I said, well, you kind of took the words out of my mouth, so let's do it. So like I said, I think we got the agreement formation already. It's just some technicalities that have to be sorted through.
I love it. Well, everyone, thank you so much.
One more thing, Fernando, one more thing, because he's doing this is a good learning point. Use the language of what you've learned. Like Jay's using words like integrity and magic, and he's just integrating it into what he does. Like in month 6 of mastery, we're going to teach you how to integrate the formula into what you do. Like integrate your hero identity into like what you do. Like we're going to literally help you take like the 4 steps, the elements, and integrate it into like your specific thing, whatever that is. So Jay's doing that. And we're just using Jay as an example. This could be any of you, right? So like we're speaking to Jay, but it's to all of you. Use those words. Like we have, and I'm not going to use the person's name because he's a private person, but one of the biggest names in the history of personal development is going through mastery. Like, and I mean like no hype, like one of the biggest names in the history of personal development is going through mastery with each and every one of you. And this is a person that has access to every single top sales trainer on the planet because of who they are. They're like legendary in the space. If you guys heard the name, you'd be like doing backflips. Like that's the coolest thing ever. Why is he doing it? Because I know him, so I have rapport with him, and we had a dialogue around what this is, and the whole concept of integrity within a sales model spoke to his heart. And he's like, that's what's missing. I don't sell because everyone that has trained me to be transactional, and I don't do anything transactional. I do everything based on relationships. So the fact that integrity is at the foundation of this means that I can stand for it. Now, how does that relate to you? Because you should use that terminology when you're speaking with people, like magic, integrity, like seeing what you don't see. Like these are like, if that's an integrity for you to say those things, use this terminology when you're deploying the formula.
Can I just add, there was one huge distinction for me. Thank you, Jared. It's Dimple.
Is that Dimple? Hey, Dimple, how are you?
Dimple. Amazing, thank you. There was just one huge distinction for me that's going to be the game changer, what's been discussed today. 2 things, actually. The first one was, I always took the no as personally to me. I always took the no as personally to me. And knowing that they're better off with me than without me now makes me go, why did I always take the no as personally? What was the, why, you know what I mean? Like, why is that? So have you anything on that? Why do people do that? Why do people take the no personally?
So Dimple, when we were together the other day, I really loved that video. I can't wait till we can share that with the world. But like, I was thinking about you afterwards. Based on like what you do in this world, right? And it's so beautiful. And like every single relationship, whether it's one with self or one with someone else, needs you. But here's what I hear when I hear no, is it's not no to what I'm sharing. It's no to their father who put them down. It's no to their friend who said they weren't worthy. It's not no to me. It's no to that story that's still holding them back. So that's why it's not a personal thing. It's something that they're having to deal with. And I've just am now present to help support them through that. Does that help you? Because that's what you do with your clients, right? Like you're helping your clients get to source, like rewrite their story, like in their relationship, etc. And in a client to relationship, like when you're working with somebody, you hear no, like they do say no, right? But you don't interpret it as a you interpret it as, oh, that's that thing that happened with your father. Well, there's no different in the sales process. The sales process is no different than working with a client. I hope everybody realizes that. It's the same exact thing. So like when they say no, it has nothing to do with what you're saying at all. It has to do with the fact that when they were 6 years old, somebody in their kindergarten class said, you're funny looking. And like they have held on to that for years of their life. If somebody reminds me, I'll share a story of my last date before I got married with this woman that was holding on to a story for 30 years or 20 years when I met her that had held her back from any relationship. And I can share that tomorrow if it's relevant.
Yes.
But like, no has nothing to do with you. I want everybody to let this land. Nothing. It has to do with the fact that they're speaking to the pain that exists in their life, and they just happen to say no to what you're saying at this moment. That's why they don't have enough information to make a decision.
Ah, okay. That's incredible. Incredible. Thank you so much, Jared. I appreciate that.
Dimple, thank you for everything that you do. You are beyond wonderful. Thank you.
Jared, that was great.
Yeah.
I've got a question.
Jared, I had a question for you. Oh, hello?
Yeah, go for
Craig,
it.
go for it.
Sorry. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Joan, please go ahead.
Can you
And
say
so-
who you
okay,
are?
so-
I'm driving today. So I'm driving to our new co-creation
It's
center.
Craig,
So I
and,
can't
it's
see
Craig and Joan.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you. I knew
thank
Craig's
you,
voice.
Craig.
I just didn't know Jones. Thank you.
Go ahead, Joan.
Hi, Jared. I want to get back to the access point. How do you jump back into the access point when you meet up with someone again? Because when you get to that access point in a conversation, it's very personal and emotional. So when you just meet someone again, how do you get there?
Great. That's a great question. Know what I do? So, and this is all within integrity, right? I'll be like, hey, Bob, before we get started again, I just want to honor our conversation from the other day. When you were talking about your grandkids, I mean, it just stuck with me. I can't stop thinking about that. So I just want to honor that. And then we're back. Like I honor something from the previous conversation, and now they're back to that feeling. And that's all in integrity, right? Because they're better with me than without me. I don't want anyone to ever think that what I'm sharing is like manipulation. It is integrity because I know they're better with me than without me.
That's acknowledgement and validation right there. Those are two of our indispensable elements. Please continue.
Awesome. Does that help you, Joan?
It sure does. Thank you so much. Very
Awesome,
valuable.
Joan. Great question.
Right,
That was a really good question.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you.
No, thank you, Joan. I have to say, I agree with Fernando that that this was one of my favorite huddles since we've started. So I really want to appreciate everybody who has spoken so far and the questions that have come out. Jared, I have to say that this was probably the greatest access point I have had as of yet to hear your heart and your understanding and your mastery over the different parts of the formula as outside of the process mastery, which I've heard many times, but this was such an eye-opening access for me. So I want to thank you for sharing that with all of us and being so open to bring that part of you. And Fernando, obviously, as well. I always learn so much from you as well. I wanted to say before, when you spoke about Sean, that Sean said about how he gets in, anybody he gets an agreement formation with, he's always going to be giving more than he's getting back. And I heard from the first time that I spoken to him say that anybody he works with will always make more or receive more than he will in the end of it all. Knowing that is where his power is. His power is in the ability to give more than he gets, and seeing that the idea, the indispensable element of reciprocity is going to happen. It's a law, it's a fact. And the repeated giving has created so many access points and so many variables that it's just outrageous every time. And one other thing that you said was about it might not happen right away. Rob Gill one time turned to me and said, there are ecosystem mergers and agreement formations he's been working on for over a year. And it's meeting after meeting and different ideas that have come up and restructuring of the deals or whatever it is. He said he's positive it's going to work the way that it's the best way it needs to work out. It will work out and it will all come together in the end, but it just sometimes takes time. And I think some of us have that fear that once that no comes in, whether it's from our past, our story, or feelings about ourselves, that after a little bit of time, we say, you know what, this has been so long, they obviously don't want me as a person. I'm not the one that they think can help them. And like you said, It's about whether or not we think we are the prize. That Jedi mantra that talks about I am the prize. It's knowing that you can lead if they allow you to, and it's really just on them to allow it.
Greg, I'm always honored for your leadership. Thank you, for starting the call and for ending the call today, and for being an exceptional, not only student, but teacher and trainer of this formula. Everyone, please enjoy your magical Thursday. This is Unblinded Sales Mastery. We have our morning huddles every morning, 8:30 to 9 o'clock EST, and where we help you see the fun and excitement of exponentially growing your sales so that you can have more money in less time with more magic, led by Sean, Adam, Jared, our entire Unblinded movement. My name's Fernando, and I'll see you tomorrow on the huddle. Blessings, everyone. Bye-bye.
God bless.
Have a great
Thank
day.
you.
Thank you, Dimple.
Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Have a great day, everybody.